Hey everyone, welcome to a quick recap of the movie Let's Go to Prison. Enjoy the ride. John Leshitsky just got out of jail. It was his third time. Since he was a kid, he was always drawn to the dark side. 8 years ago, he was driving a van with a huge lottery check inside, but he didn't get to cash it. Guilty, said the judge. Society needs protection from scum like you. The verdict? 7 years in juvenile detention. Just like that, the system turned John into a desperate criminal. At 18, he tried to rob some mailmen. He emptied his gun just to scare them. 4 more years. If being dumb was a crime, he'd be doing life. 6 months later, the same judge sent him back again for car theft. Now free again, John wants revenge. But there's a catch. The judge died 3 days ago. Furious, John empties a gun into a phone booth. Later at a bar, he sees a newspaper article. The judge's son, Nelson Biederman IV, is opening a memorial for his father. Jackpot. John found his target. While Nelson gives his speech, John sneaks into his car, steals change, empties his inhaler, even spits in his coffee. Twice. Nelson's a spoiled jerk, blows money like crazy and screams at his dad's charity board. John stalks him closely. Nelson panics trying to use the empty inhaler, rushes into a pharmacy, flipping over shelves. "Robbery!" shouts the store owner. "Another junkie," sighs his wife. Finally, Nelson finds an inhaler, but now the couple thinks he's holding them at gunpoint. John fires a shot, the wife fires back, and hits Nelson. Everything's caught on security cameras. The board, tired of Nelson, leaves him to rot. He's advised to take the blame. Court day comes. John's there too. Nelson leans on his father's name, hoping for mercy. But the female judge can't stand guys like him. Everything will go by the book. A jury full of idiots, Nelson thinks. And maybe he's right. His defense attorney is Dwayne, the deputy chairman, and he talks complete nonsense, referencing Jurassic Park. Verdict? Guilty of attempted robbery. 3 to 5 years. In Rosmar prison. John is thrilled. He imagines Nelson getting beaten and violated in prison. But no. He wants to be the one to do it. He wants payback. Personal. So when two undercover cops try to buy weed from him, he plays dumb and gets himself arrested again. He even requests to serve his sentence in Rosmar on the same bus as Nelson. Let the revenge begin. In prison, John helps Nelson request to share a cell. Other inmates treat Nelson like dirt. The warden welcomes the new inmates. "Raise your hand if you're innocent, and you'll be released." One guy tries it, gets punched in the gut with a rifle. Complaints? "Write it down, roll it up, and shove it up your ass." Classic prison welcome. John bribes a guard to get into Nelson's cell. Nelson is terrified by shouting inmates and lands in a 2-meter-wide cell. He collapses in tears. John warns him, "Cry in front of the others, and you won't make it a week." He asks Nelson to show his killer face. Nelson pulls a constipation look. Not convincing. Prisons spend $54 a day per inmate, $28 billion a year nationwide. Maybe it'd be cheaper just to let them steal car stereos. In the cafeteria, John shows Nelson the local gangs. Warns him, at 12:15, get up from the table. Nelson ignores the advice, reminiscing about college. And right in front of him, a prisoner gets stabbed. A guard, Shanahan, asks who did it. John gives him the answer. Linar. Snitching? Huge no-no. In the showers, a massive inmate named Barry eyes Nelson. John claims Nelson as his chicken to protect him and threatens anyone else who tries. Nelson's money is locked in a fund. He's no longer chairman and can't access it. John pays other inmates to keep beating him. Barry keeps trying to woo him. One day, John is called for trash duty. Nelson gets kidnapped and dragged into a romantic prison cell with candles. Barry welcomes him with toilet wine and a knife. He declares Nelson his property, but he's a romantic, wants kisses before anything else. Nelson writes letters to a pen pal. Turns out to be a little boy. One day, a Nazi pees on him as a message from Linar. Nelson apologizes to Linar, but gets a fork in the leg. Twice. Linar killed his own father. He plans to kill Nelson too. John helps Nelson hide in the hole by punching a guard. Time passes. Nelson starts hallucinating. He decides he's had enough, buys boat cleaner and a syringe from the prison chemist, writes a dark letter. I'll line them up and cut their dicks off. Lena returns and pours gasoline on Nelson, but Nelson fights back and knocks him out. Then Lena grabs a syringe, injects it, and dies. Nelson becomes a hero. White Power Gang now backs him. He becomes a prison boss. Barry is heartbroken. Nelson doesn't love him back. He almost chokes Nelson in a toilet, but Nazis rush in to protect their leader. Nelson stops them, tells them to leave Barry. John gets thrown in solitary. When he comes out, he sees Nelson has taken over the whole prison. He even runs a musical with inmates. John is furious. His revenge plan failed, and now Nelson thanks him for teaching him to survive. Next day is Nelson's parole hearing. His new best friend, a big black inmate, helps him prep. John gives him a goodbye soda, but Nelson is suspicious. It's already opened. John fakes being offended, then drinks it to prove it's safe. Nelson apologizes and chugs it. Seconds later, he collapses. John pukes into the toilet and hauls Nelson's body out with his accomplice. At the parole hearing, Nelson's asked if he's ready to rejoin society. He smiles, not knowing he has white power written on his forehead. Parole denied. Nelson attacks John. During the fight, John admits it was all because of the judge, Nelson's father. Warden Shanahan is upset they fought without him. He schedules a death match. Loser dies, winner gets killed by Shanahan. Fair enough. Everyone places bets. Barry visits Nelson, says he's proud of him and wants to save him. I'll only leave this place in a body bag, says Nelson. Then make room for two, Barry replies. You're my family. Nelson hatches a plan, calls Dwayne and transfers his fund to a son, a prisoner he legally adopts. Fight day, screaming crowd, shivs fly. One bounces off Nelson's armor. Final weapon, colorful syringes. Nelson stabs his opponent, but gets stabbed too. Shanahan declares, draw. Both are carted away. Biederman is declared dead. His adopted son inherits $8 million. Barry stays behind at the grave, digs him up. Nelson faked his death with help from the chemist. Before leaving, Barry reminds him, he promised to save John too. Without John, they'd never have met. Former enemies, now even. A year later, Barry and Nelson open a winery called The Little Duck. A wine critic hates their product, but John and some ex-cons intimidate him into giving a perfect review. Even though the wine tastes like ammonia,